Illinois Media School. For more information on careers in broadcasting, go to beonair.com. Is the dynasty over? That will be the question that surrounds the Patriots offseason after their loss to the Eagles in the Super Bowl yesterday. Nick Foles got to the drive of a lifetime. Zach Ertz made a bobbling touchdown catch that had to survive replay review, and an exhausted defense came up with two stands in the final moment Sunday for a 41-33 victory. For the first time since 1960, the Eagles are NFL champions. In a record-setting shootout between backup quarterback Foles and five-time champ Brady over the favored Patriots, Foles led a pressure-packed 75-yard drive to the winning touchdown, 11 yards to Ertz with 2:21 to go. Then Brandon Graham stripped Zach Brady and Derek Barnett recovered, setting up rookie Jake Elliott's 46-yard field goal for an 8-point lead. Brady got his team to midfield, but his desperation pass fell to the ground in the end zone. It was the first Super Bowl title for Philadelphia, 16-3 on the season, which went from a 7-9 last season. The Bulls are in action tonight out in Sacramento to take on the Kings. That game just getting underway. The Bulls have lost 6 consecutive games, their longest skid since a 3-20 skid to start the season. They lost 4 of the 6 by at least 10 points, one of them 113-103 on the road to the Los Angeles Clippers this past Saturday. And the Blackhawks are off tonight, but will be playing tomorrow night in Calgary to take on the Flames. This update is also brought to you by the IIT men's basketball. The next home broadcast will be February 7th when they take on Robert Morris Peoria at 7 p.m. For tickets, visit IllinoisTechAthletics.com. I'm Tim Nehring, and you're listening to Chicagoland Sports Radio. It's not just sports, it's a way of life. Welcome into the Nightcap right here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com with me, Tim, and Jeff.
What's going on, my brother?
It's going good, man.
It's been so long.
It has been. It's been a while since we've been on. We've had you guys were on 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we did the show. It was pretty solid, man. It felt different without you, but we made it through.
Yeah, I know. I've had some difficulties the last couple weeks.
Did our Dragon Ball talk without you, man? No sports talk that second half. It was just straight Dragon Ball.
I listened to it.
Oh, you did?
I did listen to it.
What you think, man?
I thought it was pretty solid. I'm not going to lie to you.
Pretty solid.
I didn't want to let you guys know until tonight that I had listened in on that show.
Did you download some anime, some Dragon Ball Super episodes after that?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
I'm not really into that like some people are.
Me neither. I'm not into anime like that. I'm just into Dragon Ball Super.
You know what's crazy is over the weekend, obviously, it's a chilly weekend here in Chicago as it is tonight. Mm-hmm. And I was on Netflix, and every month they come out with a bunch of new content that's on Netflix. And I noticed that there is so much Japanese anime on there.
Oh, it is.
There is so when you go to the page on Netflix that has new releases, and you went to like the back part of it, like the ones everybody's familiar with, it was purely Japanese shows. It's very interesting.
Hey, I wish I could say I was surprised, but I mean, I don't know. Anime seems to be a big thing now in America. It seems like the last 10 years, there's been like a real big culture here in anime. They advertise like a lot of streaming service like Crunchyroll and a couple other services that you can watch anime on. Funimation actually has a streaming service too.
Yeah, but for those of you that don't know, 2 weeks ago, I was on my way to the city, and I had some car troubles out on the Kennedy.
Trash. And the Kennedy is not a place where you want to have car trouble.
Especially in rush hour. I was in the far left lane and had to merge over to the right. The car just shut off on me, man. It was horrible.
Nobody was being nice.
They were kind of, when you put your emergencies on, you're slowing down. Obviously, I think people know you have some sort of issue with your car, but whatever. I had to get it towed all the way back home in the suburbs. And found out the car's trashed. I had to get a new one.
I was driving around a piece of trash.
I know, man. And then last week I was out with the flu, but I'm feeling much better, and I'm really happy. I was really disappointed we weren't able to come in last week, because last week would have been our Grammys review show, I guess, talking about that. We'll touch on a little bit of that later in the show. We'll give you guys our Grammy review on what happened at the Grammys. But the big storyline tonight and all today is Super Bowl 52, which took place in Minneapolis last night.
Exciting game from start to finish.
It was record-breaking Super Bowl, most yards combined by both teams ever for over 1,100. That was pretty insane. They each combined for over 600 in the first half,
Right.
which was pretty ridiculous. So it's record setting in that regards. There's some other records set by Nick Foles. I believe he's the first quarterback ever to catch a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl.
I think so.
I believe that's what Al Michaels said on the broadcast, but it was very exciting. I don't know about you, but I was rooting very hardcore for the Eagles.
No, I think you and a lot of other people. I don't want to say like it's hate towards the Patriots because I think that's a strong word, but I just think folks they was ready to see somebody else win the title. Not saying nobody else won the title in the last 15 years, but out of those 15 years, the Patriots been to 8 of them. So it's kind of like they want to see a dynasty go ahead and fall. We build people up to see them fall, and that was one of those things. Like, all right, we're ready to see the Patriots fall, and that's what happened.
Yeah, I think with dynasties in sports, it's a good thing. First of all,
yeah,
I really do believe that. But for instance, with the Chicago Blackhawks, which their dynasty is clearly, I would consider it a dynasty because they won 3 cups in 5 years from 2010 to 2015.
Mm-hmm.
But that was like a 5-year period. If you're going to have a dynasty in sports, that's great for the sport. Like I said, I think it's perfect if it lasts only about 5 years. And then that team that's really good, okay, they'll make the playoffs every year, but maybe they're not as great in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what's going on with the Blackhawks right now. And that's why I say it's a perfect example. The Patriots have been doing this for 17 years.
Yeah.
They have been ruling the NFL. And I think this goes to all the other teams in the NFL on why they cannot find a solution to beat this team. I mean, first of all, I will say this. One thing I feel like with the Patriots, and it showed once again in these playoffs, especially these playoffs, they got away with murder on that offensive line.
No,
I mean, they have probably needed to be called 5 times per game in these playoffs for holding. It was quite ridiculous how no team could get pressure on Tom Brady. That's why I say I'm a little amazed by that. Me and my dad were screaming at the TV yesterday, saying, holding, holding, holding. I mean, Fletcher Cox should have had 2 sacks. He came this close twice, and then obviously at the end of the game, it was Brandon Graham who came up with the strip sack. And I was calling that. I said they need to turnover, and I called it was going to be strip sack. I didn't say it was going to be an interception or a fumble, but I said it was going to be strip sack. But really happy for the city of Philadelphia, first of all.
No, it's hard not to be happy for a city like that. But me as a Bears fan, I don't forget about that game we played against them and that one fan who had the sign hanging out of his house.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that earlier in the season. That one was a little.
But besides all that, man, I'm happy for my guy Alshon Jeffrey. He said he was going to get a Super Bowl this year.
Well, no, he said he was going to get a Super Bowl last year.
No, he said it at the end of last year.
Oh, he did say that's right. It was at the end of the
this coming season. We'll be a Super Bowl champion. He didn't say which team, but
true.
He made it happen. So I'm happy for him. Just as a former Bears player.
Apologies for the rumble in the background to the audience. We are pretty snowy outside right now. We got a snowblower right outside of our State Street studio window.
Yeah, gotta keep the streets clean.
True that.
But like I said, this is their first Super Bowl first Super Bowl championship, but this is like their second one since like the 60s or something like that.
Well,
they won one
before the merger.
Super Bowl era.
It was before the Super Bowl era in 1960 was when they won an NFL championship. But it's great for the city of Philadelphia because when you look at sports towns around this country, I should say, my opinion, the best sports town is Chicago, and I know it has been voted that before in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
The fan base for any sports team here bleeds their team, and the 2 teams that really kind of unify this city are the Chicago Blackhawks and the Chicago Bears. And I think
the Blackhawks,
you'd be surprised. You would be surprised.
Sure
You'd be surprised. You mean to tell me if you're going to go into a bar and you're talking about sports and there's a White Sox and a Cubs fan talking and they're arguing and they start talking about the Blackhawks and all of a sudden they're best friends?
Everybody doesn't watch the Blackhawks in the city.
Well, that's true. I'll give you that. But I just think when it comes to it, the Hawks, when they won their first Stanley Cup back in 2010, the fan base blew up.
No, definitely.
Okay,
there was a lot of bandwagoners. And I was one of them
all the time.
And I can say that proudly. Like, yes, I was one of the bandwagon fans.
Exactly. And back when Bill Wirtz was the owner of the Hawks back in the early 2000s, when that organization was a complete mess, a lot of diehard Hawks fans from the 90s and the 80s really weren't out there because of how trashy the organization was, and they came out of like hiding. It seemed like when the team started to get great again.
Yeah.
And that's why I say that the Hawks do unify. The Bulls can even be said that too. those three teams. There's only one team in the city for those sports, and that's why I say that. But the Bears, this is a Bears town.
No, definitely.
So that's why I say that. But when it comes to Philly are some diehard fans. I remember when the Hawks played Philadelphia in 2010 for the first cup. Play the Flyers. And the Flyers fans that you would see in bars around here were horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they are horrible people when it comes to rooting for your sports team. But I'm really happy for them. I think they took a little out of proportion last night with the celebration, a little rioting, a little bit.
I mean, but that is that's expected.
That's what I thought was going to happen when the Cubs won. Here.
It was pretty crazy.
I mean, it was crazy. It was, but I thought it was going to be even worse, man. I mean, that was like a almost 110-year curse. That's
it wasn't that bad with the Cubs. You didn't feel it was that bad? Because
was there rioting going on for the Cubs?
If you was north on Clark Street, you would not leave in that area until like 6 in the morning.
Well, I understand
if you wanted to leave.
That's what happened. I was actually up in Wrigleyville for the last Hawks win that night when they clinched it here in Chicago in 2015, and I was up there. And the city of Chicago did a great job because after the first Hawks championship, that was way worse. I mean, there was more fans there. There was a little bit more craziness going on. But this time around, what they do is they completely guard off Clark Street for where the bar scene is, and they won't. If you leave, you're not allowed back in.
Yeah.
And that's what they did in Philadelphia last night. But they went too rowdy. But you know what? I'm going to say this: Philadelphia fans, in my opinion, looking at the sports, I'm going to let them do it.
Hey, it's okay.
Let them do it. First Super Bowl championship for the Eagles. I mean, come on, man.
They had a disappointment the last time they played the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
True.
Go ahead. Let's celebrate.
Hometown guy, Donovan McNabb.
Yeah. So let's reel it back in, man. Philly win. They got a quarterback situation.
They do.
I know they're not thinking about it right now, but it's hard not to think about it. Nick Foles coming in after Carson Wentz tears his ACL, right?
Yes.
Tears his ACL.
Mm-hmm.
It just plays phenomenal throughout the Super Bowl. No interceptions thrown.
He looked like a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the throws he made yesterday, I think it was that one that touchdown throw, not only to Alshon, that was a great throw.
I wanted to cry when I seen that.
I mean, Alshon doing Alshon, but that throw was on the money where he placed it perfectly where Alshon could catch it at the edge of the end zone. But the one throw I'm talking about is the touchdown pass to Corey Clement, the running back, where they had a review and, Chris Collinsworth, who irritated the hell out of me last night with his commentary. I mean,
I love Chris Collinsworth.
So do I. I think him and Al Michaels are the best team in football when it comes to commentating. But he annoyed me with his little review, like saying, I don't know. And he kept saying it for 5 minutes straight. But when everybody knows it's going to be called a touchdown, same thing with the last touchdown.
But I can understand why he was a little skeptical about it, because normally when you see a receiver diving in for it and he loses control, they normally call that back and say it was no catch. Only reason I believe they called that because he had full control of it, even when the ball bounced off the ground. When he landed into the end zone, he still had full control of it. I think he lost control of it when he was rolling over. It might have just flew out his hand, but even when it flew out his hand, the ball still never touched the ground. It stayed in the air.
Which catch are you talking about, Corey Clement or Zach Ertz? The last touchdown, Zach Ertz, you're talking about that one? I'm talking about the Corey Clement one. When the one with the running back caught, I believe it was at the end of the first half.
Oh, okay. Oh, my bad. I lost.
I mean, they're both the same with Collinsworth.
You're talking about the one when they was talking about was his foot in?
It was, what the replay showed was,
my bad. I forgot which one it was.
He caught the ball, and right after he caught the ball, he landed with his right foot. So there's your foot. Yeah. There's your first foot. And then when the second foot came down, that's when it looked like that's when he started bobbling it. And then the third foot was definitely out of bounds when he had full control.
Yeah.
When they completely slowed it down to slow-mo, that second foot, the left foot, he actually still had control probably 0.5 seconds before he started bobbling it. And that's why it was a touchdown. And Collinsworth needs glasses or something, because if you couldn't see that on TV, dude, I mean, come on.
I don't know. It did look like his foot was literally on the edge of the out of bounds in end zone.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could understand that, Army, because I was making the same thing. I felt it could have went either way.
True.
Just how close it was. But like I said, it was already ruled a touchdown. I don't think they had enough to overturn that. So I think they came up with the right call with that play.
But the throw that Foles made on that play.
No, that was a solid throw. He threw it literally
that
in a
was
window where only, like you said,
only he could catch it. I mean, he made so many throws yesterday that were basically like that. And I love the story of him where he thought he wanted to quit football and came back last year with the Chiefs.
His brother-in-law talked to him.
Yeah, and then came to the Eagles, the team that drafted him originally, where he first found his success, and then this happened. And this playoffs, if the Eagles cannot get a second or third round pick for him in a trade, I don't know what's wrong with the NFL.
But do you trade him though?
You got to. You didn't use a second round or a second overall pick 2 years ago on Carson Wentz, especially with the start of the season he had. If Carson Wentz did not get hurt, he would have been the MVP, and they would have been probably 30-point favorites over the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Do you think Carson Wentz play Week 1 this coming season?
That depends on what they do with Nick Foles. That depends. I see. Now that's the thing with. And this is why I'm so happy the NFL offseason here is not only because we're going to be talking Bears on a weekly basis here and predictions of what they should do, but the big storyline now is there's two, in my opinion. Both teams are in the Super Bowl. You have the Patriots because a lot of turmoil yesterday in the post-game interviews. I mean, yes. Rob Gronkowski coming out and saying he doesn't even know if he wants to play anymore, which was really shocking to me. I don't know if that's just his emotion or what, but then multiple sources this morning telling Ian Rappaport that his family members have been talking about him possibly doing that. And then also, I think something has to do with his concussion he suffered against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah. That could be saying something. Brady saying he's coming back next year. And then you have both coordinators are taking jobs. Matt Patricia named the head coach of the Lions today. And then there's talk that McDaniels is going to be named the Colts head coach tomorrow. So the top assistants are now out of New England. What do the New England Patriots do? And then you have the Philly situation with the quarterbacks.
Well, to add on more with the New England situation, they got to get that whole Malcolm Butler situation.
That's another thing.
That one was kind of
was bizarre.
Yeah, and more that's coming out because now they were saying like the reason he was benched because one he had a bad week of practice.
There's just three reasons.
Yeah. One, like I said, one he had a bad week of practice.
This one.
Other one he was caught with marijuana.
2.
And then the third one was curfew. Which I mean, if you're the coach, you got rules set in place. You want your players to follow those rules. But to me, this is a Super Bowl. Sometimes you gotta let your star player just be your star player.
I don't even think he's a star player anymore, though, Jeff. He had one great moment. Malcolm Butler had the great moment that put him on the map with an interception on the goal line in a Super Bowl against the Seattle Seahawks, which he came off the bench in that game.
Okay, let me take star. Let me take star off of it. Key player. What you
okay, I'll call him a key player. Yes.
Okay. If you're not Tom Brady, Bill Belichick.
Mm-hmm. There's a possibility he might not even come back. I mean, it's turmoil for the Patriots.
We got the '98 Bulls situation right
now.
Good
comparison.
mean, so if you're Bill Belichick and your guy Malcolm Butler, he has curfew. He doesn't make it on time, whatever the curfew is. He gets caught with marijuana. And he's just having a bad week of practice. Do you still bench him for the Super Bowl? Given everything that you know how talented he is. There's nobody's doubting that.
Well, first of all, don't forget they spent almost $90 million on Stephon Gilmore in the offseason last year to bring him in and be their number one corner.
Mm-hmm.
Because Malcolm Butler actually last year, he kind of declined. He didn't really have that great of a season. Now, Eric Rowe, who they also brought in free agency, started to really play well in the nickel in the first 2 games of the postseason against the Jaguars and the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have that going for you right now. Bill Belichick is the one head coach in football that doesn't tolerate anything when it comes to his players. I mean,
no tolerance at all.
He is the epitome when it comes to enforcing the law with his team.
Mm-hmm.
Something like this happens. We've seen it in the past where he'll just release the player. Obviously, he can't do that with Malcolm Butler because he's too valuable. Now, I would have probably said, which he did play last night. He played on special teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he was delegated to. I would have put him on special teams in the first half, but in the second half, I would have played him because that could have been a difference maker.
And the game was still close in the second half.
Exactly, because what happened? You could have used him as a nickelback. You had Stephon Gilmore who shut down Alshon in the second half. Eric Rowe, they started, exploiting him in the second half a little bit with Nelson Aguilar, who had a great game.
Yeah.
And then, but Zach Ertz was the key, and their safeties could not cover Zach Ertz. So if you would have put in a third corner to cover Zach Ertz, Malcolm Butler, I think that would have been an X factor, in my opinion.
Well, like I said, hopefully they can get this situation under control. I don't want to see, like I said, the '98 Chicago Bulls situation with them. So, like I said, the offseason with them is definitely going to be super interesting.
I totally agree. And that's why the two teams in the Super Bowl are the two biggest storylines around the NFL, I think, this offseason. But the big one here in Chicago is obviously the Chicago Bulls. We're going to be talking about that next.
Yes.
I'm previewing that right now because I wanted to talk about this last week, and especially now that we're really focusing on coming up with the trade last week. We're going to dissect that. And then obviously we also are going to be previewing the draft process because they got another first-round pick, and I have an idea of what they should do with Robin Lopez.
Right,
I'm not going to lie to you. You ready for
let's
it?
go. Let's go.
Okay.
Hey,
all that coming up next right here on the Nightcap, only on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
Not just sports, it's a way of life.
With a successful Royal Rumble in the books, we are now on the road to WrestleMania. Tune in to the K-Tray Show every Monday night from 7 to 9, only on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. As myself and Matt Ward break down all the latest wrestling news on the road to WrestleMania, as well as all the other hot stories here in Chicagoland. That's the K-Tray Show every Monday night from 7 to 9, only on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
We are now arriving at LAX, where the weather is 75 degrees and sunny.
No, the Nightcap isn't broadcasting live from Los Angeles, but we will be giving our thoughts and predictions on the 2018 NBA All-Star Game being played in the city of Angels, Los Angeles. And this All-Star Weekend, it's not about East or West. It's about Team Curry and Team LeBron. Listen to us on Mondays from 9 to 10 p.m. to see whose side we on. The Nightcap, only on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. It's not just sports, it's a way of life.
Hey, Chicagoland Prodigy here, and get ready for this Super Sunday Showdown as we'll take you inside the game.
Every guy in here made a commitment. You know you did.
As you can join me, Charles Prodigy Richie, Sid the Kid, and Mr. Ralph Hill. Will it be Fly Eagles Fly, or will the Patriots get the record-time 6 Super Bowl championship? Find out as we get you covered for the big game this Sunday. Also get us some Bull stuff. So make sure to tune in On Deck every Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
It's showtime, folks.
Previously on the penalty box, the Blackhawks look like they could be in contention for a wild card spot. With the playoffs just 2 months away, who is safe and who could potentially miss the playoffs?
Mother of God.
Tune in for that and all the latest breaking NHL news, as well as Golden Knights gambling gurus.
Yeah, baby.
Take a seat in the penalty box with the Slasher and the Iceman, Tuesdays from 2 to 4 on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
Who won the big game? Did Tom Brady win his 6th Super Bowl? Can Nick Foles manage the Philadelphia Eagles to the Super Bowl? Now that Nikola Mirotic has been traded to the New Orleans Pelicans, what's next for the Chicago Bulls? Did Brian Urlacher get into the Hall of Fame? Chicago Cubs signed a player, but it's not who you think it is. To find out all the answers, listen to World Cup of Sports with host Patrick Blaney and Matt Ward every Monday 3 to 5 on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
Me lleva la que me trajo. Ya no sé quién ganó. Para que no te ocurra esto, sintoniza todos los martes Pizarra Deportiva de 10 a 12 en Chicagoland Sports Radio, donde te traeremos los resultados del Supertazón, la Copa del Rey, la Liga Española, la UEFA Champions League, el Mundial de Clubes y el Mundial de Rusia 2018. Esto y mucho más en Pizarra Deportiva, donde solo son deportes por Madrid.
I am Raphael Young of the Raphael Young Show on ChicagoSportsRadio.com, and on my show, I will talk about the Bulls and Blackhawks.
Fade away. Kiss myself. Oh my God. Windy City Assassin does it again. Grand Donovan Taves found the fucking center ice, and the Blackhawks have captured the victory on the road.
And I'll also talk about sports league throughout. Tune in every Monday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. on Chicagoland Sports Radio. It's not just sports, it's a way of life.
Tune into Students of the Game, where Dr. Joseph Gregory and Dr. Christopher Rouse discover that love knows no rivalries.
Trail. That's the trail. What? That's the trail. How you a Bears fan dating Aaron Rodgers? Oh, now she a Packers fan.
You got that AR?
Don't jump back. Don't jump back.
You got that AR?
Students of the Game, Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m.
on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
Chicagoland Sports Radio Sports Update.
At 9:30, I'm Tim Nehring with your ChicagolandSportsRadio.com update, brought to you by the Illinois Media School. For more information on careers in broadcasting, go to beonair.com. Is the dynasty over? That will be the question that surrounds the Patriots offseason after their loss to the Eagles in the Super Bowl yesterday. Nick Foles guided the drive of a lifetime. Zach Ertz made a bobbling touchdown catch that had to survive replay review, and an exhausted defense came up with 2 stands in the final moment Sunday for a 41-33 victory. For the first time since 1960, the Eagles are NFL champions. In a record-setting shootout between backup quarterback Foles and 5-time champ Brady of the favored Patriots, Foles had a pressure-packed 75-yard drive to the winning touchdown, 11 yards to Ertz with 2:21 to go. Then Brandon Graham strip-sacked Brady and Derek Barnett recovered, setting up rookie Jake Elliott's 46-yard field goal for an 8-point lead. Brady got his team to midfield, but his desperation pass fell to the ground in the end zone. It was the first Super Bowl title for Philadelphia, who were 16-3 in the regular season, which went from 7-9 last year. The Bulls are in action tonight out in Sacramento. That game is underway in the first quarter with 2 minutes to go. Bulls leading 23-9. The Bulls have lost 6 consecutive games, their longest skid since a 3-20 skid to start the season. They lost 4 of the last 6 by at least 10 points. One of them 113-103 on the road to the Los Angeles Clippers on Saturday. And the Blackhawks are off tonight, but will be playing tomorrow night in Calgary to take on the Flames. This update is also brought to you by the IIT men's basketball. The next home broadcast will be February 7th when they take on Robert Morris Peoria at 7 p.m. For tickets, visit IllinoisTechAthletics.com. I'm Tim Nehring, and you're listening to Chicagoland Sports Radio. It's not just sports, it's a way of life. Welcome back into the nightcap right here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com with me, Tim, Jeff, Zoe, and Chris just walked in.
Yeah.
Got a full house now. What's going on, guys?
Man, it's all right. The drive here was crazy.
Same for me.
The rails don't make no sense. I actually should have left earlier, but
It's the roads.
I was
It's
definitely.
the roads, not the rails.
I said road. You
No,
said,
you said
rails.
rails.
Did I?
Yes.
Oh, well.
Grammar police on your.
I thought you were about to drop a. You about to. Oh, you were going there? Okay. Anywho, the roads apparently are really bad, and I would have been here sooner, but I've been watching Dragon Ball Super, and I was catching up on the Goku Black saga that I actually kind of skipped over, and I did reading, so I've been watching that for a little while, and I've been playing Naruto hard. Like I beat the game. It only took me like 2-3 days. Yeah, I have no life, so.
Well, I was telling Jeff earlier when he mentioned that I did listen to that show 2 weeks ago when you guys were talking about Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
I was listening to it. It was a solid show.
How'd you like that?
It was a solid show. I like
Oh,
I like the
look at you.
discussion. I did. I don't watch Dragon Ball Z, but
Okay.
I like it.
No. Super.
Dragon Ball Super.
Okay.
Dragon
I apologize.
Ball
See?
Super.
I don't watch it. So.
I got to put the tone in it.
But I really like the discussion.
Thank you. My ankles are just ashy and cold. That's all right.
Yeah, apparently he
I'm
said he
feeling
wore the
right
ankle socks, and that wasn't the greatest of decisions.
I got them a little ankle. Like one of them is like a little right.
No shows.
Yeah.
Man, the other one's got some
Yo.
mismatch on, and one of them is the no show. I ain't feeling it.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
They got on his little sister side.
Man,
Oh no!
I had one.
Stop
yeah.
playing yourself.
I had to. That's like, yo, I need
That's
some clean
petty.
socks, B.
That's
Just
real petty.
anything you got.
Boy, stole his socks from his little
That's
sister.
real petty.
So since the Bulls are in action right now, let's talk about it. So we weren't here last week. Well, actually, the trade happened middle of last week. So Nikola Mirotic traded to the New Orleans Pelicans
Praise white Jesus.
in exchange for Omer Ashik, as well as a first-round draft choice in this year's upcoming draft, as well as Jameer Nelson.
Yes, sir.
I believe also Tony Allen. And then we also sent a second-round pick. I believe
Swap.
We swapped the second-round pick. Okay. How do we feel about the trade? I mean, I'm ecstatic that Mirotic is gone.
Yeah, me
Well,
too.
didn't he want to leave?
Yeah.
Oh, well, he
so
did.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's nothing to be like upset about.
Yo,
He got what he wanted.
I appreciate that month of December, but
Yeah.
go ahead and leave. I don't want nobody here if they don't want to be here.
Exactly. Being toxic in the locker room.
I'm just happy they got rid of their best player that was kind of keep them in the loop in the month of January where they went 10-6.
Mhm.
And they got a first-round draft choice, so now they have 2 coming up in the draft because
Maybe.
I want them
Maybe.
to tank.
2 maybe.
Right.
It's 2 maybe.
I want DeAndre Ayton so bad.
Bro, you gotta lose.
Did anybody see that game this past weekend? Arizona-Washington. Buzzer beater. That first of all, 2 seconds to go, and DeAndre Ayton is a man among boys playing in college right now.
If I'm being perfectly honest, if I have to, okay, so I'm gonna tell you my dream scenario with this pick here.
Please.
So it's top 5 protected, meaning if the Pelicans get a pick outside the top 5, it's the Bulls' pick. If they end up with a pick 5 or above, it's not our pick.
But it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I've said that. I said the Pelicans are going to be unless they trade Anthony Davis, the Pelicans are going to make the playoffs. When the Pelicans do make the I'm not going to say make the playoffs, but I say they're going to be like maybe 9th seed in the West, and they don't make the playoffs, and then they're going to be like get like number 7. I say the Bulls, depending on how it goes, fall somewhere anywhere between. I want to say 4 and 6, mostly because there are worse teams out here than the Bulls. So it's like
right now,
number 1 pick is probably not going to happen.
Right now, the way it stands, if you're going off record, the Bulls currently would have the 6th overall pick.
See,
today.
I was spot on, and I didn't even know that.
But again, it's the lottery. You never know what can happen.
Yeah.
So I mean, they could be in 6th spot with the percentage going into the lottery, and then also you never know. It could be a Derrick Rose scenario where they land either the number 1 pick. Because to me, looking at the draft this year, there's really only 3 solid players at this point. There would have been 4 if Porter stayed healthy, but there's really only 3. That's Trae Young, Ayton, and Marvin Bagley over at Duke.
What about Luka?
I'm not a real big fan of European guys. But I mean, the reason why I like Lowry is because he came over to the States, played at college.
Yeah.
It wasn't now Chris Stapps, that's a different story. I mean, he really excelled. Nobody thought he would in his rookie season and this year, but I mean, he's really excelled. But I need to watch film on Luka to see if I really like
Luka's a bad man. That's all I'm gonna say. Is 6'6", which I thought he was like 6'3", but he's 6'6", handles like a point guard, passes like 1-2, and he can score, and it has on part dribbles good enough handles to embarrass somebody if they playing too hard on him. He got a nice arsenal of dribble moves that he can get his own bucket. But to get back to my point, that's not somebody I want them to draft, by the way. Yeah, it's not somebody. I just like him, as a player. But I'm saying I think it's more than just 4 players. I think Bamba would be a good choice.
I like Mohamed Bamba, especially after the game he had this weekend against OU.
Exactly. But in my perfect like best sense of what the Bulls possibly gonna have is they're gonna get maybe 5th pick. 7th pick will be the Pelicans pick. They get both of those picks.
You do know the Pelicans right now, if it was then today, would be 20th. That pick.
It's gonna
You
drop.
think it's gonna drop because Marcus is out?
Yeah, it's gonna drop. Okay. And then, like I said, right now, Thursday is the trade deadline.
Thursday is the trade deadline.
So if the rumors are true and they
can get another first,
and if the rumors are true. They looking to get Rodney Hood right now. The Bulls.
No, that's not going to happen.
I don't think it is. They don't have enough. And
it's pointless
because they have to give a pick, wouldn't
they? That's why I say
that's
pointless.
But it depends on what pick they offer. We don't know what Utah, for even them to be pursuing it. We know the Bulls aren't giving, they're not that dumb. We know they're not giving up their top 5 protected pick. Mm-hmm. So that must mean the setting price for Rodney Hood must be low. You got to understand. Rodney Hood is 6'9". That is the three, and he's a good defender. That's the small forward that the Bulls want for the future. So so you have if they get him, of course, scenario will be Rodney Hood, Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, Lauri Markkanen, and hopefully if you get a top pick, you get Ayton, which I doubt, or most likely Bamba.
Never know.
I think he going like 1 or 2.
He is definitely going 1 or 2, and if he continues to perform like this, he will go number 1.
Unless somebody who sucks has a good center and they trade down, and
the Bulls
If
go
the
up to go
Bulls-
get him.
I've been saying this. If the Bulls could somehow get another first-round pick in any trade scenario involving Robin Lopez, because he's clearly the
It's
most
actually
valuable
they're
in trade.
packaging Robin Lopez and Jerry Grant.
If they could do that and they could get another first-round pick from a team that, let's say it's a team that's on the cusp of being a bubble team to make the
playoffs,
8th or 7th spot, which would be great because if that team doesn't make the playoffs, you're guaranteed a top 20 pick by that team again. Say you're right, the Pelicans are close to a lottery pick as well. Plus, you have the 5th overall pick for the Bulls. You would then have three first-round picks in this year's draft, maybe some sort of other valuable asset like Bobby Portis, maybe putting him in a deal
Wouldn't
to
be
whatever the
surprised.
number one team, whoever lands the number one pick. Because if you have not watched Arizona basketball this year, DeAndre Ayton is 7'3". He could shoot the jumper from mid-range. He could drain threes when he's wide open.
Yep.
He is a beast among boys. I'm telling you, he looks like Dwight Howard back when Dwight was coming out of high school, but almost bigger.
He's a little more. He's more skilled than Dwight.
Way more skilled.
Yeah.
Can you imagine him and Lowry playing?
That was my dream scenario before he started playing so well. Like I saw Aiden as a number 3, 4 pick, and I was like, yeah, it could work. That could work for the Bulls, but he just started excelling and being great.
I read an article yesterday when it came to the draft with the Bulls. There was 2 players potentially that if the Bulls had pick 4 through 6, that if they drafted them, they fit that person. And the first one was Michael Porter Jr. If he does indeed decide to go into the draft.
Here goes another thing about that. You can't forget, if they get these 2 top picks, the Bulls can pull a 76 and just sit on Michael Porter Jr. for the year so he can fully rehab. And then he comes into the following year.
Plus, he doesn't have the pressure coming into the Bulls where he needs to be the shoot first guy on the team. Because right now, that's Lowry, that's Zach LaVine, that's Chris Dunn. Because I'm not going to lie, we've had this argument in the past, but Chris Dunn has shown a little bit that he could be a legitimate scorer.
Honestly, like I said, I actually have to take back what I said about him. I've been watching him. I've been watching the past couple of Bulls games, and he's been impressive thus far. But in the direction that the Bulls are going in, it seems like now they're trying to follow through with their plan, which makes sense. And I've come to a more calmness with the Bulls. I'm with the process. It's not like I got too much of a choice, but I mean, it's really like what me and Chris talked about in the car is you don't know whether their moves are good or bad yet. So it's one of those things where it's really a waiting game.
True.
And if it doesn't pan out, then we know the move was wrong. But if it does pan out, then we knew they moving Jimmy and them was the right move because we knew D-Wade wasn't staying nowhere.
Well, I will say this. Moving Jimmy, for me right now, I'm going to say it was the right move simply because of the way Zach has played since he's come back from the injury.
It's definitely like a B- move.
I'd say that right now. Now,
at the moment.
When Chris comes back from his concussion protocol, and if he continues to play well throughout the rest of the season, and then going into the offseason, if he can really knock down that 3-point shot, I think he could be a really decent point guard. He's not going to be an all-star. He's going to be a good one. But the other player in the article that they said would fit the Bulls system, and they kind of explained this in a really interesting way, was drafting Trae Young.
Yeah.
Trae Young.
I like it. I like it.
If you bring in Trae Young is your point guard of the future because Trae Young screams star potential.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris Dunn, you could then. I mean, Chris Dunn's 6'5".
He can move.
He can move around between both guard positions.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, that would make sense. Building a good young nucleus.
And then what you do, but see what you're doing then is still smart in the Bulls because even if you split the minutes between Trae and Chris, what you're doing is you're able to. I say you bring Trae off the bench because you're able to mold him. Yeah, you're able to mold him and get him used to the system, but you're still building a trade value for Chris Dunn. Chris Dunn sucks. You got Trae Young to throw in.
Well, it would be almost a similar situation back when OKC still had James Harden.
Exactly. And so then you have high trade value for somebody like Chris Dunn because I don't see them trading.
Do you think that trade worked out for OKC?
No, they're dumb.
Because the only real high-profile draft pick that came out of that trade was Steven Adams.
If I'm being perfectly honest about that trade, all they had to do was not pay Ibaka or Perkins, and they could have kept all 3, and they chose.
I knew exactly.
So that's on them.
Can you imagine that backcourt today? Harden and
that'd be something else.
That would be something.
So, but back to the subject at hand. Either way, that's so. If you draft Trae Young, it can be a win-win. You either lighten the fuel under Chris Dunn to play harder, or he folds under the pressure, and then Trae Young performs well.
Now, the other possibility of what the Bulls could do is they could sit pat in the draft, let's say they have the 8th overall pick and they just sit pat and draft best player available, which you never know, could develop into a great player.
I think I know what you're going to say.
And they can
Drop the bars,
keep
guys,
their
drop the bars.
keep their other draft picks that I'm sure they're going to get another first, and then it's maybe later in the first round get some depth players, kind of what the Celtics did when they drafted Jaylen Brown. Even though Jaylen Brown's really starting to develop, whoever saw that dunk the other day by him, that was off the charts. Now, what I'm trying to get at is you then wait for the 2019 draft. You really tank.
Don't say it.
You really
don't say
tank.
it. Don't get
Hold
me
on.
giddy.
I'm gonna get you giddy. I'm gonna get you giddy. You really tank, and you really want the number 1 pick, and you draft Zion Williamson, bro. That would be something. I mean, he is the best NBA prospect coming through the high school ranks since LeBron. That was the same Sports Illustrated article not too long ago. And he just announced 2 weeks ago that he is attending Duke. And you know he's going to be coached pretty well. I mean,
all I'm saying is
that's huge. That'd be a huge move.
You're gonna bring up Duke real quick. Let me flex real quick. You know, we have number 1, the number 2, and number 3 player in the nation on this team.
For next year.
Coming in
I know.
next year.
They're gonna be ridiculous. They really
possibly Duvall might not leave. Trent might not leave. The only person
I really like Duvall.
Stay.
I really like
the only
Duvall.
person who's leaving is Grayson Allen. That's because he has
to.
And
Marvin.
Well, maybe Marvin.
I think he is. He's guaranteed a top 5 pick. Yeah. And he's probably going to be a top 3
That's the only reason he even signed with them. If he goes, cool. Because I don't care either way at this point. We got a big game coming up this weekend. That's random. Just wanted to say that. Yeah. So don't get me giddy about that. But, Zion will be a nice thing. But I don't see him tanking. It's too much. It'll be too much. At that point, it'll be too much talent. If you're getting 2 top 10 picks, you're gonna get 2 top 10 picks. If the best scenario is 2 top 10 picks,
I mean, if you're really
drafted good.
Well, the only reason why I'm really high on DeAndre, real quickly before we go to break, is because earlier in the season, the first week of the NCAA season, Gar and Pags were scouting 2 Arizona games that week. They've scouted 5 Arizona games already this season, which clearly they're there to scout DeAndre Ayton. That's why I'm saying if they're going to accumulate multiple draft picks, that's going to give you a ton of leverage this year in the draft, where you're going to a team that really desperately needs young pieces. I have 3 first-round picks in this year's draft, 2 of which potentially could be in the top 10. I mean, that's really good value.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it jumpstarts the rebuild like crazy, and you could possibly see them flourish. And with the ball movement and the way that this team plays nowadays, what the team has been playing all season, that could be a great team in the future.
Everybody could just dream about a starting lineup next season with Chris Dunn, point guard, Zach LaVine, shooting guard, small forward, Rodney Hood, power forward, Lowry, and your starting center, DeAndre. I'm just going to go to break down that. Coming up next right here on the Nightcap, we're discussing what happened at the Grammys. Because in my opinion, I've got some things to say about who won Album of the Year.
Really?
I do. A little bit. Okay. That's all coming up next right here on the Nightcap, only on
ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
Time to kick off your career in radio or TV broadcasting at the Illinois Media School's downtown Chicago campus. Call us at 312-884-8000 or visit 530 South State Street to learn how you can make your dreams of being on television and radio a reality. Don't take my word for it. Check out what some industry professionals said about the Illinois Media School.
Jonathan Hood, ESPN 1000.
Not many people can say that they love their career, but I certainly do. I like helping the next generation of broadcasters discover their passion. How do you discover yours? Learn how to be a sports talk show host, a producer, do play-by-play, and shoot and edit video. Get hands-on training on air and behind the scenes. You'll have a chance to get internships at radio or TV stations where you can tap into the knowledge of industry pros. With job placement assistance, you can start your career in 1 year. They have affordable tuition and financial aid for those who qualify. So why waste another minute in a career that you don't love? Go to beonair.com/Chicago Sports. Go to the website right now. beonair.com/Chicago Sports.
Join the ZRL show live every Wednesday from 4 to 7 on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. We'll be talking everything Super Bowl and what will it take for the Bears to get to one. We'll be talking the Nico-less Bulls and how the tank is back on, and Cubs and Sox hot stove. The ZRL show every Wednesday from 4 to 7 on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. It's not just sports, it's a way of life.
In case you missed last week's episode of Second City Sports, here's what Hall of Famer Mike Haynes had to say about Super Bowl 52.
It's going to be a super high-scoring game, I don't think. It'll be a hard-fought scoring, and let's hope Gronkowski can play. I'm a Patriot fan, obviously, being a former player. But if he plays, it'll just add a little bit.
For our reaction, tune in to Second City Sports every Thursday from 12 to 2 p.m. only on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com, where it's not just sports, it's a way of life.
Very well. Where do I begin?
We are the Sun. CSR Box Now with the realest Justin Adams and Chris Boogie.
You must dip it good.
We bring you the realest of news, analysis, and good history lessons with the hashtag
OTDIB,
Honest Day in Boxing, and
SRCT,
the Seeing Citizens Tour.
Well, I have one simple request.
Hold it down with the realest of Boogie every Tuesday, live at 6 on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
That's what you're waiting for, Cool Breeze. Get it off set. First of all, you better check your tone.
Previously on the bench.
Can we for a second just talk about how attractive of a man Chris Bryant is?
I mean, I'm going to have to agree with you that those baby blue eyes I could have lost for hours.
Yes, there you go, right there.
I took a walk down his Lakeshore Drive.
You know what? Oh my gosh. You know what? Forget talking sports. Today we're just going to talk about the hottest athletes, bench warmers. 4 to 6 p.m. on Thursdays. Oh, Chicago.
Nothing moves the blob.
Everyone wants to talk about how exciting these last few weeks of football have been in the playoffs with the Jaguars, with the Vikings miracle finish, with the Patriots come back over the Jaguars. But let's not let that distract you for the fact that this season overall has been trash. The NBA season has been so much better than that. So much better. Cedric Farrell, a.k.a. Bob Block, with Matt Ward and Lonzo Wilson on the Bob Block Show. Fridays from 4 to 5 p.m. on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
We have had some interesting guests here in the cheap seats. From former athletes to Hollywood producers to my own sister. Shout out to my sister Heather. We are always looking to bring you the freshest content here in the cheap seats. Join Kenya Collins and me, Ryan Christopherson, on the cheap seats every Wednesday from 2 to 4 p.m. on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com, where it's not just sports, it's a way of life.
Do you want to know what to do in the event of an apocalypse? Tune in to Dead by Thursdays with me, Christy Love, with Joe.
He's crafty. He knew how to get his way around. I would have loved seeing a broken.
And with Big Daddy Cash, Big Delicious.
Big Daddy, Big Delicious, whatever you want to call me. I'm the biggest of daddies of the most delicious of delicious.
Tune in every Thursday from 8 to 9 on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
Hey, baseball fanatics. Have you been looking for a show that covers nothing but baseball? Well, look no further than Deep in the Dugout with Ryan Christopherson, Dimitri Big Meech Veros, and Eric Choco Rivera. Catch us every Monday from 2 to 3 p.m., keeping you up to date on America's favorite pastime.
This is one of the great moments in the history of baseball.
That's Deep in the Dugout, the newest addition to the ChicagolandSportsRadio.com lineup.
Come on in.
It's the one and only Raw Ruler. Get in tune with the nightcap.
All right, let's try this again. Raw Ruler drop.
It's the one and only Raw Ruler. Get in tune with the nightcap on Chicago.
All right, man, come on. Let's get focused, y'all. No, it's take 3, so.
It's the one and only Raw Ruler. Get in tune with the nightcap on Chicagoland Sports Radio. Man, shut up. I hear you talking back there.
Hey, you know what? Let's just take this and see what we can do with it.
Welcome back into the Nightcap right here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com with me, Tim, Jeff, Zoe, and Chris. It's time to talk music. We haven't been here. Well, you guys were here 2 weeks ago, but I haven't been here.
We weren't here last week.
Let's put it this way. We were not here last week, which was going to be our Grammys review show. And we're going to talk about it a little bit. How did you guys feel? Did you guys watch the whole thing? Or did you skim through it like I did?
I pretty much watched it. I skipped the performances I care about. You know, they talking about country music and whatnot. I skipped past that. But okay. Whoa.
Well, what's wrong with take a break, time out real quick.
Yeah, we got Lopez going crazy.
Yeah, Robert Lopez.
You got ejected for what? What did he do?
I'm not even sure I missed it.
He know it's real because Fred came all the way to half court. And Fred ain't with it. Fred just go sit down.
I don't know. Robin Lopez.
And Robin pissed.
He ain't the guy to piss off.
He fights mascots, people. You don't. There are no problems with him.
You know what I'm saying? All right, let's get back.
If you're not watching the Bulls game, Robin Lopez just got ejected. He's pretty heated on the court. We will give you
only the
updates
second
as we
quarter.
find out what happened in that game. Bulls are big, 43-27 in the second quarter. So
shocker.
But the Grammys, what did we feel about? Let's start out with this. How did we feel? Actually, this gets a big elephant in the room. How do we feel about Kendrick not winning Album of the Year again?
It was another snub of hip hop.
Okay, who won Album of the Year?
Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars did.
Bruno Mars did.
But just back why I said he was in my top 10 when it came to Albums of the Year when we were doing that
But you know what?
December.
In Bruno's defense, he did have a strong 2017.
That album was really he ran the summer dang near. I'm not finna flex. He ran the summer pretty much with 24 K Magic. That's what I like.
And then he came at the very end
with the finesse song with Cardi.
And I honestly think the song Finesse helped push voters to. I don't know how the voting process is, but if the voting process is anything like, all right, they vote after like New Year's or something like that, then I believe Finesse had some type of influence in the voting process of Album of the Year.
Best thing he did on that track was putting Cardi on it.
Yes,
I agree. Yeah, that was an
and
excellent business move.
And making that music video the way they did
That was
it.
beautiful too. Gorgeous. They said he did everything too. Like everything was up to him. Like he directed it, produced it. I thought that was great. But I felt Kendrick should have. I feel like Kendrick should have got.
I mean, everybody. But I had time to think about it. We can't sit here and act like Bruno Mars isn't part of the hip hop family.
That's what I was gonna get to. I'm glad you said that.
I mean, because he came in singing that song with B.O.B. And he does, and a lot of his music is hip hop influenced. So we can't sit here and act like he's not part of the hip hop culture. But I do understand the argument of people saying like, no, Kendrick had the best album of the year.
I think they're talking about because of the impact that the album had on the rap community and dang near that's what it pop culture. Period. How much impact the album had. That's why it was such an uproar. It was
everybody was walking around saying "Be humble."
That's what I was saying. Like the album, once the album dropped, like you heard it on countless commercials, and I thought, I just thought the album was. I thought he was gonna win. Honestly, I'm not like really upset that Bruno got it because I mean this album was cold. Like I played it repeatedly, so I'm not sitting there saying. I'm not sitting there saying this album is terrible by no means. That's blasphemy.
Even when Bruno won Record of the Year, I was like, I can't be mad at that decision because everywhere you went, you heard.
That's what I wanted. I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, here comes Kendrick. Kendrick's name's going to get called. But when they said it, as soon as they did Record of the Year and they said Bruno won, that's when I knew right there and then he was winning Album of the Year.
Yeah.
So I was not like super like screaming at the TV like yesterday in the Super Bowl type thing. Because again, Bruno Mars had a great 2017. He really did. And he is an entertainer. He just isn't a great singer. And he proved that because the best performance at the Grammys was him and Cardi doing Finesse. It's fantastic at what he does. Him and his little band he's got going on, that's fantastic.
But it also still shows that the Grammy still has a problem with hip-hop.
They always have.
Even though we're saying all these things about Bruno, he's cut from a hip-hop cloth and all of this other stuff. He's not packaged as a hip-hop artist. Bruno Mars is a pop artist up and down.
And that's actually when you look at it. When you look at every year at the Grammys, they always. It seems like there's always that one pop album that's always nominated or two. Typically, it's always Taylor Swift. Thank God she wasn't nominated. If she was nominated this year, it would have been the third time out of the 3 albums Kendrick has been up for at the Grammys. 4 Album of the Year, Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, and Damn. All 3 of those times, if Taylor would have been in this Grammys and she would have won, she would have upset him all 3 times.
Do we feel like
she does it on purpose?
Do we feel like the Grammys is attempting to get it right with hip hop?
I think so. They're
trying to. Because it only seems like there's only issues with hip hop artists, but that's always been there since hip hop came around. Like people, I don't want forget. White America has been trying to get rid of hip hop since '79, since the Cool
I'll
Crush.
agree with that.
Since the hip hop, the hip it to the hip. They've been trying to get rid of hip hop ever since then. They tried to do it when NWA came around, with Ice-T, Q, the Lynch Mob, Public Enemy, Tupac, so on and so on. They've been trying to get rid of hip hop, but they just can't. Hip hop is so influential in America. Well, not just America, the whole world.
True.
Everybody wants to be hip hop because you know why? Hip hop is cool. And I don't think white America loves that. And when I say white America, I'm talking about old folks. Old folks who belong in a nursing home, who does not need to be driving. Folks who do not need to be driving.
The hard-headed ones that refuse to change.
When you turn 65, I'm talking about
AARP card.
I'm talking about
the one on the Life Alert. The ones on the Life Alert commercials.
Look, I'm talking about the old. I'm talking about the old people. When you turn 65, you should not be driving anymore. Old folks.
Oh, that's some underlying issues with him on that though. Because
he gets some issues off right.
That 65 comment got a lot to do with some personal.
That's what it
driving
is. Yeah, you know.
Boy, I'm saying
I felt the pebbles coming up a little bit.
That's how I am too.
No, but when it comes to like hip hop and stuff, and it comes to these voting process, I just feel like it's just a bunch of old people who have no type of connection to the culture of hip hop, or who's not even trying to have no type of connection to the culture of hip hop. It's just voting and just saying like they probably seen this person's name and was like, well, if I seen this person's name, he must be some type of popular person. So look, he's gonna go ahead and get my vote. But when they really don't understand like what songs and what albums and what artists had to have an impact on the culture.
What I like to know is that I can see the faces of these voters, not to just like not on no creepy stuff, but like who is the face, or who are the faces of the voting committee that votes for the Grammys?
Well, a lot of them are actually producers.
Well, then that's fine, but then show me who gets those votes.
But I also believe people who were nominated for a Grammy, who was at least nominated for a Grammy, can also cast a vote.
I feel like they should. If you nominate,
because I know Joe Budden said at some point on Everyday Struggle, he was on there that he can participate in the voting process, but he doesn't. Which I don't understand.
It's such a Joe Budden move.
Yeah. Right?
But he's not the first person to be like that who doesn't participate in the voting process. Which me personally, I don't understand it. If you're one of those people who constantly complaining every year,
then you need if you have the power.
If the Grammys got it wrong and you got the power to do so, won't you do something
for
about
sure?
It? Or at least let your voice be heard.
I was gonna say this. You were mentioning about the faces of the Grammys and whatnot, and how possibly older America might not be willing to. So the
white America,
white and old, same thing. No, it's not the same thing. It's not the same.
It's Black History Month. Get it right.
It's not the same. I took it back. Come on, I corrected myself.
Oh, handshake.
But the thing that I'm trying to get at is the president of the Grammys. I forget his last name, but I do know his first name is Neil. It's my dad's name. Shout out to my dad.
Shout out to dad.
He mentioned in his speech that he does every year at the Grammys that he had been there for 15 years. When did Lauryn Hill win Album of the Year? Do we know what year that was?
98, 99. That's when Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
See, now I would love to see who was the president of the Academy of Music at that time. Because I feel like ever since he's taken over, you really haven't seen... The one thing that I feel like the last couple years specifically that you've seen with Album of the Year nominations, you have seen more than one hip-hop artist be nominated. This year there was 3. Childish Gambino.
He doesn't count for that.
I mean, he has a little bit of a hip hop influence into his music.
Oh, no, more than a little, but I'm saying that album specifically.
Okay.
Does that?
Was it like an R&B style?
It was completely R&B.
Okay.
So I thought, when I downloaded it, I thought it was the wrong album. I had to re-download it.
You were used to his previous stuff.
Yeah, I downloaded the album 3 times.
Okay.
Because I thought it was the wrong album.
So you had him there. You also had Jay-Z, and I feel like Jay-Z was nominated because it's Jay-Z, to be honest with you. And then you obviously had Kendrick with Damn. So you had 2 artists in there. And it kind of was a weak year, I feel like, for other real albums, really in music. You had Bruno, who you knew was going to be nominated. But that last nomination, Lord, I personally thought
anything that she got nominated for, I was like, what?
That wasn't as great of an album compared to her debut album, where she was nominated like for everything that year. The person who should have been nominated for album of the year was Ed Sheeran. He got snubbed hardcore. in the
Yeah.
Grammys.
I thought so too.
Yeah, he did. He
I'm
did.
trying to.
He had one of the top songs of the year. He actually
He won that.
dethroned.
He won that.
What he win?
Song of the year.
Oh well, yeah, but that was Shape of You then, right? You're talking about. But then he had other songs too that was like top 10 and everything.
But they
like
had
that.
dominated the charts over the summer.
Yeah.
Real quick, the last Lauryn Hill that when she won album of the year, that was in '99.
Was in '99.
Okay.
Yep, and she was going up against Sheryl Crow, Madonna, Garbage, and somebody named.
Wait,
Twan.
what's the name of the group? Actually, Garbage. You said, "Oh God."
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh God. Who did she lose?
She beat
to?
out. She beat out.
Oh, she won
She
that.
won
year.
that
she
year.
won that
She's
year.
the last hip hop artist to win album of the year.
No,
all the way back in
Outkast.
'99.
No, Outkast was.
Oh yes, I take that
04.
back. 04.
Which one was that?
Speaker Box Low Below.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Yeah,
let's go.
yeah. They
Those
beat
are
out.
actually the only two hip hop group and artists to ever win album of the year.
Yep.
At the Grammys.
There was really only one award that I was truly
You want to
upset
talk?
about.
Y'all want to talk about some snubs?
The only
Continue,
I'm actually.
then we'll get to the snubs.
No, that's exactly what I was getting to.
Okay.
One person I really thought that got snubbed, and she hasn't even been in the game long enough to get snubbed, is SZA. I don't understand how she did not.
Yo,
I truly do not. I didn't get that at all. Like, how did she not get Best New Artist?
Who won Best New Artist?
Alessia.
I think she deserved it though.
No, wait, hold on. Alessia Carr, talented artist, but she came out in 2015.
Thank you.
In 2015 is
Thank
when her
you.
debut album came out.
Let me
The
ask you
single here came out in like around March of 2015.
Bro,
do you guys
3 years
think-
ago.
Do
How
you,
she
do
get
you
that?
think she won simply because she was featured on Logic's track?
Bro, that
That
wouldn't surprise me at all.
You know,
And I don't know how the process. I don't know if she was nominated in 2016 for
When
Artist
did
of
her
the Year?
debut album
I
come
don't.
out?
2015, man. Like, that was
She
a
shouldn't
minute
have been
ago.
nominated.
She should not have been
If
nominated
she,
at
she
all.
got nominated in 2016 for
Who else
whatever.
was up
She
in
shouldn't
that
have been
category?
nominated.
Who were the other artists?
So you
nominated?
had Khaled, Lil Uzi Vert, and
Julia
Julia Michaels.
Talented artist.
SZA still should have won.
SZA should have won.
Still should have
I
won.
predicted. I do like a lot. Look at the main categories,
Mhm.
and then I'll like say, okay, this person's
Ooh,
gonna
Jesus, Zach.
win. This person's gonna win. I agree with you. SZA should have won Best New Artist.
Oh, yikes!
Oh my
Is that
God.
his athletic?
Oh no! I'm sorry.
Ooh, that's a dunk of February.
That man said, "Stop it! Stop it!" Like,
I
get
think
out the
that
way.
knee looks.
That
pretty
knee
good.
looks pretty good.
Knee looks
That knee looks good. Like,
He's been listening to too much SZA.
oh,
I
sorry.
agree with you though. That was
SZA
definitely a
should've won that
snub.
one. That was a snub.
She was up for She was up for like 5 Grammys. Did she win any?
No, she did not. I thought she would at least get new artists. I thought she would at least get best new artist.
I'm confused.
I was confused. I was hoping maybe Hoodie
I
Hefe
would
would
like-
explain
I
to
would
me
like
why
extra-
SZA got snubbed.
I would like.
I was trying to
explanations, too.
understand.
Like
I was
from
trying
the
to understand.
committee.
That would be
chose
great
this
too.
artist.
Like you know how
Like you chose a 3-year-old. You chose a 3-year-old artist.
They
over SZA.
should
Like,
honestly.
I need an explanation.
They should honestly do exactly what the NCAA committee does after the tournament's announced. When the president will sit down with the guys on CBS and will explain why certain teams made it and why certain teams didn't. Do that with the Grammys. Neil. I don't know his last name.
Facts. Facts.
Right, you gotta call him my first date and show him you mean business. Neil, get it done. You get the email tomorrow morning. What are you doing? Come on.
All right, let's run through some of the hip hop snubs in the last 18, 20 years. All right, so in 2001, some group named Two Against Nature. The only hip hop artist nominated in that year was Eminem, Marshall Mathers LP.
I'm fine with that.
In 2001.
But who came out in 2001?
No, still that's the name of the album. My bad. That's the name of the album. Two Against Nature. The artist was Steely Dan.
Man, they're an old time rock band, really big in the 80s. I only know this because my dad listens to it.
Well, if I'm thinking back around that time,
that is so funny.
Oh, yo.
I don't know, but when I think back around that time, Marshall Mathers LP was everywhere.
When
A lot
I
of people
think
listen to
of
that.
probably the biggest hip hop snub I've seen in the Grammys was, I believe this was at the Grammys, yeah, when when 50 Cent got snubbed for album of the year.
Best new
I believe
best
by
new
who?
artist.
Was it best
Who did
new
he
artist
lose
that
to?
year?
I think
I thought he was album of the
Evanescence.
year the next year.
No, he's not. No, he wasn't nominated for album of
Okay,
the year.
best
It
new
was
artist.
Evanescence. I want to say.
Evanescence won that.
Break me up and that's the only song I know about him.
All right, what about the?
That was a really big snub.
All right, what about in 2003? Winner was Nor Jones' album "Come Away with Me," and who was in that nomination was Eminem for Eminem Show.
Oh
and
my
Nelly for
God!
Nellyville.
What?
Nelly for Nellyville.
Wow!
And this was 2003.
Woo! They're out to get
Give
us,
me some.
man.
Give
They out.
us some stuff
You
that's
know?
more recent too.
More recent.
They hit me with a 2015.
Okay, well, I'm gonna start at 2006. All right, 2006. U2 won for album of the year. Album "How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb." Hip hop artist for album of the year was Kanye West.
Which one?
Late
Graduate
Registration.
Ooh. I don't know. That is U2 though, and it's like they're great at everything.
That's kind of true.
It's all about Bono.
Yeah, that's. But that was don't get me wrong. Great hip hop album. Great like our hip hop album of the year probably. But who else was in that year? Who else was in that category?
Gwen Stefani came out with her.
That was the good Bananas beat. And they keep going.
Paul McCartney.
Oh.
And Mariah Emancipation of Me. Which that album was everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I got tired of that album.
That's tough.
Between my brother and my sister,
That's
I got tired of that album. Oof. All right, in 2008, Kanye was nominated for Album of the Year again with Graduation. Winner was Herbie Hancock for River and the Jones.
Exactly.
River the Jones.
Who else was nominated with that one?
The Foo Fighters, Vince Gill, and Amy Winehouse. Back to Black.
Yeah, Amy Winehouse probably should have won if I'm being perfectly honest with you.
I was never a fan of hers.
I think she's just a great talent.
I thought
fantastic jazz singer.
Yeah, I guess I didn't.
Hit or miss,
I don't have an ear for that. I thought her voice was annoying.
No.
I mean, I'm not like trying to disrespect, but I mean, she was.
No, to you, yeah, but
yeah, to me, I don't have an ear for jazz. I guess
she was wonderful.
All right, in
Off the
09,
drugs.
all right, 09, Lil Wayne. Shut up. See, I wasn't.
Oh my goodness! Come on. We're
right,
trying to be focused, be all serious. And here you go. Off the drugs. All right.
All right. So in 09, Lil Wayne lost
Carter 3.
Yeah, Carter 3. His album Carter 3 was up, and he lost to somebody named Robert Plant. And
who?
That's Led Zeppelin's lead singer. You could understand that.
I don't know. Led Zeppelin
is the #1 rock band of all
I
time.
know who Led is, but here's the thing: what did that album do?
I think that was their last album. That was their last album they ever made.
But see, here's the thing: if Led Zeppelin is the group, but the lead singer's solo album got nominated, what was on his solo album? He didn't say Led got nominated.
I don't know.
And that's what I'm saying. Name the last rock band lead singer who did a solo album. It was freaking amazing enough to be nominated and like, you know what I'm saying, go up against who else was in that category? Who else is in that
rock band? Radiohead, Neo for Year the Gentleman, which was a phenomenal album.
Right.
And
of course,
Coldplay.
I could see Radiohead.
Coldplay was that the song I used to.
Don't ask me.
What's the name of the album?
He's saying so. The F don't know.
Was that Viva La Vida?
Yeah,
that was
a
album.
good album.
Yeah, that was a great album.
And then we all know 2010 when Taylor Swift won for Fearless.
Trash.
That was the year Kanye.
I hate her as a human.
That was the year Kanye.
Say it with your chest. Why don't you?
I hate her as a human. She plays victim so well.
We all know that was the year Kanye made her famous.
And she's a mean girl, man.
Can we
bullies?
Hey, can we all agree Kanye made her famous?
Yes.
I made that.
I mean, let's
famous.
be honest.
You know he did.
Nobody besides her fan base.
Is great.
Nobody in her fan base knew who Taylor Swift was
until
that night.
Only the country fans, because before that happened, she was only a country artist.
Yeah, she wasn't as popular. Now she's pop.
Now she broke out.
She played that. Gave her that. Like I said,
after that happened, she came to be a pop star.
She played the victim card.
Like I said, technically that was the first time she played it, but she plays it so well, and she knows how to
plays
band
it so well.
It.
She's a bully in the music community with people with her
Tried to diss
songwriting.
Kanye. and Katy
Well, that
Perry.
happened, but the big thing that I'm talking about with her being like that is her whole situation with Calvin Harris.
I didn't even hear about that.
When that song came out that Rihanna sang, that song with Calvin that he made, the pseudonym songwriter Neil, it was some Danish name. That was her pseudonym when they were dating. She was dating Calvin Harris. They broke up. That song went huge, and she was pissed because she wasn't getting the credit. And she was totally trashing Calvin Harris, Rihanna, and other people in the business for that when that happened. And then she came out with this album recently, and she's just trying to trash everybody who's epically failing.
Did it do? Yeah, it didn't do anything, did it?
Well, it was tops of the charts because it's Taylor Swift.
Yeah, but we're gonna, after the listen, what happened?
I didn't listen to it.
Exactly.
I have no desire.
I should let you know.
And then that happens.
All right, 2011, Eminem Recovery lost to
That's fine.
Arcade Fire.
That's fine.
The Suburbs.
Yeah, I'm
Arcade
fine with
Fire
that.
is actually a very good band.
Yeah, I'm
Seen
fine.
them live?
I'm fine with Recovery losing. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? I'm a big Eminem fan. It wasn't, you feel me? I'm fine with that losing. I'm sorry.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Anymore?
In 2013.
Although
in 2013, it's not a hip hop
I'm
artist
sorry.
with Frank Ocean.
Ooh.
Channel Orange lost. to,
Great album.
That was a
Mumford
great
and
album.
Sons.
Is that the year Kendrick was up with Good Kid, or is that 2014?
2014. 2014. Kendrick and Macklemore.
And Macklemore
was up for album of the year, and they both lost to Daft Punk.
Oh, that was Daft Punk's revival album,
Okay.
which was actually a very clever album by them, very funky.
The award Kendrick lost to was, I want to say, Best New Artist.
Was that to Macklemore?
Yeah, I think that was the Best New Artist.
I thought it was Best Hip Hop Album. He lost.
That too. Didn't he lose a lot
lost
that
to
year?
Macklemore.
Yeah, because in 15, that's when they gave him, I think, Hip Hop Song of the Year for the song "I" that was on.
Yeah.
Butterfly.
Didn't he
different
win
on the
Best Hip Hop
album.
album as well that year for the Pimp a Butterfly?
I believe, yeah, he did. All right. Speaking of To Pimp a Butterfly, 2016, that's when he lost to Taylor Swift to 1989.
I hate her as a human being. I want to keep saying
Shake it off, shake it off.
The most unathletic.
Dude, if I ever got into the music
Stick
industry,
body.
I just want to slap her in the studio.
Shaq a bleached popsicle stick. That's what she looks like. I can't stand her.
Shorty look like a #1 pencil.
And then last
She
year,
ruins the
Not
music
even
industry,
number 2.
man.
She a #1 pencil.
all right, and then last year, Drake, Justin Bieber, and Beyonce all lost to Adele. 25.
That's fine.
That's okay.
I'm okay.
That's
with that.
Adele.
Okay. Yeah,
She
Adele.
warms
That
my
was
heart.
That was her year.
That was actually a very good album.
Yeah, that was her year.
The other side.
Right. Adele
it
can
did
sing
sell
you to
crazy.
sleep.
I mean, that album did
Adele
sell
can sing you to
4
sleep.
million in
there,
the first
buddy.
week.
I'm
that
saying,
was
bro,
okay
you
with
gotta
that. I'm
respect
okay with
them
that.
numbers.
I'm
But
okay with
but my thing is, when it comes to awarding these albums of the year, how many of these people, like how many of the fans actually know of these artists or even know of this music?
No,
I mean, because how many of these
What do you
artists,
mean?
how many of these songs being played in top 40?
in the past, not that much, but now, well, depends on who the
Period.
artist is.
I'm talking about period.
If
Like,
you're talking about
well,
like the Adele's,
if
the
I'm talking
Taylor
about somebody
Swift's,
like Mumford and Sons,
Okay, now hold on. When you go back to
Arcade
that year,
Fire.
when you go back to that year, the only reason why those albums were nominated, like for instance, Mumford and Sons, they had one song that blew up the charts, which made their album sell uncontrollably because all of a sudden people became fans of that song. They started listening to some Mumford and Sons. They became fans of Mumford and Sons.
Yep.
That's the only reason why that happened. Same thing with Arcade Fire. Arcade Fire is considered an indie rock band. They sell out arenas across the country and the world. They headline at Lolla the last 3 years.
Yep.
So it's one
They
of those
actually
things
are
that,
a good band. But again, they have one song that blows up. That's like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this electronic band called M83.
no.
They had a song out that blew up one summer a couple years back, and that's the only song they're still riding on when they're going to festival after festival
and
each summer.
everything else just
And they were
popped up.
nominated for a Grammy that year when that album came out. That's the problem with the Grammys. I mean, look at
They
Ed
go off
Sheeran.
buzz right now.
The only thing is, though, why they might have did it right with Ed Sheeran, he had a few good songs off the album, but the great song was Shape of You, blew up the charts. Does that mean that you should be nominated for Album of the Year because of one song? Of course, no. And that's why I think they got it right this year, even though Lord, she only had one song that kind of was in the charts for
I don't
a
even
handful of
see,
time.
but it's not better than the
No,
one
it wasn't.
song that he did.
That's why he should have been nominated instead of her.
Yeah.
SZA could have even been nominated over her.
Yeah.
For album of the year.
But you know, what do we know? What do
we don't know anything.
That's
why now the only music show that does stuff right is the Video Music Awards by MTV because they'll get the awards right.
Yeah, they do it. They do it on point. I'm not gonna lie.
It's the only one that when it comes to music I can deal with.
Yeah.
Maybe the Billboard Awards aren't that great. Neither is the
Drake
American
won
Music
13 of those.
American Music Awards.
Yeah.
That was Drake that won that many American Music Awards.
Don't make no sense,
man.
That's like country music shouldn't even get Grammys. Why? Because they've got 5 award shows on each of the major networks separately in a span of 3 months.
So it's like, why are you still getting why are you on?
Bruh, we know who gonna win. We just watched y'all last week. Like,
right, like
go away.
Go to sleep. Or take a nap.
Completely agree with that.
My goodness. Hey, country music anyway.
If country music was like I don't know if you saw that video that's circulating at this country band on some show, and they was like performing apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur. The Flow Rider song. Get Low. Yo, it was the best thing ever. I like it better than the original.
Speaking of great moments in music, I don't know if anybody saw this, but last weekend out in Australia, Foo Fighters were playing at a concert. There was a sign in the crowd close to the stage that Dave Grohl was reading, and it said it was a kid. I believe he was about 21, 20, or 19 years old.
Okay.
It said, "Hey, let me come on stage to jam with you." He's a guitarist. Dave Grohl brought him up on stage, gave him his personal guitar he was using, and let him jam. And he's like, "You know this song? You better know this song." And his name was Joey. And it was funny because he's Australian. He's like, "Joey." In the mic. So all of a sudden, the drummer starts playing the intro, and you just see this kid just rocking out, and he killed it. I mean, he killed that song, and now he's an internet sensation. If you have a chance, look it online. It's fantastic. Great moment.
Send me a link.
I will.
Send me a link.
It's a great moment.
I actually like guitars and stuff like that. I actually want to.
Have you ever seen the guitar Dave Grohl uses?
No.
It's a very interesting electric guitar. It's a bigger one compared because of the sounds
similar
that come
to
out
a bass.
It's kind of it's not a bass, but I've seen him live. One of the best guitarists and one of the best bands I think I've ever seen live.
Yo, man, like the only thing going right now that he's like the remnants of
old rock.
Yeah, God, Nirvana.
That was his band. He's a drummer in that band.
Yeah.
It amazes me how the little things it's that moments, it's beautiful moments like that can change a person's life forever. Like I'm pretty sure now that kid is
probably going to be asked
pursue
to be
that. You know, right? It makes you go. Like Dave Grohl can like me. I know I can be something.
Bro,
you know,
that kid's set for life because if any of the guitarists and Foo Fighters go down with an injury, you know who Dave Grohl is.
Yeah.
Joey from Australia.
He probably got his personal contact and everything by now. That's a beautiful thing to hear.
Quick recap of the show. We touched on the Super Bowl earlier in the show. Me and Jeff did before these two gentlemen decided to come in.
I'm sad
due to traffic.
How to get my
I got here 5 minutes before showtime. That's how long it took me to get in. It was bad.
I didn't think it was gonna take me that long getting down here, but
once you got like into the city limits on the side streets and not being on the highways, the streets are good.
Okay.
Highways were trash. I'm not even gonna do that home.
Yeah, I took the expressway here. I shouldn't have, but if I'd have took the streets, it'd have took even longer.
Well, we talked about the Super Bowl. Talked about that a little bit about how Philly was celebrating last night. Talked about the potential of the off seasons that the Eagles have with the quarterback drama now, and then the Patriots off season with the drama in their front office and everything. We touched on that. We talked a little bit about the Bulls. Talked about the Bulls who are in action right now. Quick score update. Oh, I don't know.
It's like 55-41.
Bulls. Second half yet?
Starting now.
Okay. Starting right now. Still no word on why Robin Lopez got ejected in the second quarter.
Oh, cussed out the ref.
Cussed out the refs. Nice. Ooh. Solid. Typical Chicago thing to do.
Probably felt threatened, you know.
Talked about the possibility of what the Bulls could do in the draft coming up, as well as a trade of no other than Robin Lopez.
Yeah, Robin Lopez and Jerry Grant. They're trying to package those two guys.
Yes, we mentioned that. We also then touched
# get Felicio off my team. Keep continuing.
Then we also
that was a passion too.
We also talked about Grammys. We were going to talk about that last week. Obviously, we did not have a show.
Grammy family.
We were talking about that. Coming up in the next couple weeks, we got NBA All-Star Weekend coming up in a few weeks. We're going to be touching on that. Quick preview for a couple of things coming up. In the next
Love
couple
that.
Weeks.
I got all the info you need on that one.
That's going to be a good show, especially after the game. And then obviously next week, we are going to be really starting off our off-season talk about the Bears.
I'm excited for that.
It's going to be a weekly thing, I feel like, guys. This is going to be big. It's going to be big. All that coming up right here on the Nightcap next week, only on
ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. I just wanted to do that. I always wanted to do that.
You feel good?
Catch you guys next week.